Have a nice day, everyone. Our topic for today is all about auction. So, what are the objective of our topic? So, at the end of the lessons, the students can able to understand. The first one is the concept of the auctions. The second one is the types of the auction, and the last one is the sample problems or sample scenario of an auction. So, ngayon guys, mag-discuss na tayo. So, what is auction? So, sabi dito sa PowerPoint, no? Auction are situation where potential buyers compete for right to own a good or anything of value. As any situation, the seller in auction wants the highest possible price while the buyer wants the lowest possible price. So, meaning, auction, it is an event where different parties can bid for the right to purchase a good or service. So, mas liwanagan natin sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay natin ng example. So, ito yung example na to guys is makikita natin to siya sa mga K-drama. Oy, K-drama, di ba? Basta K-drama talaga kahit alas 12 na, alas 2 nakatingin. So, alam ko guys, makaka-relate tayo dito. So, an example nito is guys, halimbawa, sa isang place, 'di ba nakikita yung sa mga K-drama na halimbawa paint, yung object is paint. Sa isang auction or sa isang place, merong mga tao doon na involved. Ang tao doon is ang tawag doon is mga bidders. Tapos sila yung mga bidders na is meron sila mga specific price regarding doon sa object. Halimbawa, yung object na yon is paint, 'di ba? Halimbawa yung seller kumbaga yung ginabenta niya is paint. Tapos magsabi si seller doon na this paint is worth 1 million. So, yung mga bidders, if sino yung willing magbili doon sa paint na yon worth 1 million, magsabi lang na me. 'Di ba napapansin niyo yun? Halimbawa, magsabi sa seller na this paint worth 1 million anyone. So doon sa mga bidders na yun, meron talaga magsabi na me. So tapos magsabi naman yung seller na 1.5. So mag-raise naman yung mga bidders na me 1.5. And then if sino yung pinaka-last na nag-offer ng highest na price, siya yung makakuha doon sa paint na yon. So yun yung parang tinatawag nating auction guys. Kumbaga, sa isang place, yung mga bidders doon is nagkukumpit sila regarding doon sa object na yun para makuha nila yung bagay na yun. So, ibig sabihin, kung sino yung pinakahuli na nag-offer ng price na pinakamataas, and this is the most common, 'di ba, na nangyayari, siya yung makakuha sa object na yon. So hope guys, hope guys naliwanagan kayo kung ano bang ibig sabihin ng auction. Yun guys, mag types of auction na naman tayo kasi importante din ito kasi hindi lang porke na alam natin yung meaning ng auction, so dapat mas alamin pa talaga natin kung ano ba yung mga iba't ibang klase ng auction. So, ngayon, we have two types of auction. The first one is, sabi dito sa PowerPoint, is ascending bid auctions. And the second one is descending bid auctions. Diba? Sa word pa lang na ascending, gets na natin eh. Descending, gets na natin eh. Diba? So, ano pa ibig sabihin nito? So, sa ascending bid auction, guys, ito yung start out with the low bid for an object. The price of the object is gradually raised until only one bidder remains. So, ano ba ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin nito, guys, is nasabi ko na to kanina sa example ko, yung pag-explain ko sa inyo, yung ano yung auction. Ibig sabihin nitong ascending, guys, is nagsa-start yung price sa object from the low price. And then, if sino yung makaka-offer ng highest na price doon sa object na yun, siya yung makakuha ng object na yun. Same kanina, 'di ba? Ang first natin na price doon sa ano na yun, sa paint na yun is 1 million halimbawa. Yun yung first price. So, we assume that 1 million is starting pa lang yun ng price and mas tataas pa yan dito sa ascending. And then, magsabi naman yung other bidder na 1.5. So, if meron pa talaga magsabi ng 2 million, if sino pa talaga magsabi ng 3 million, if sino yung pinaka-last na mag-offer ng price doon sa object na yun, is yun yung makakuha ng object. So, halimbawa, yung pinaka-last na nag-offer is 5 million. So, those person na nag-offer ng 5 million, is siya yung makakuha ng bid ng ano na yan, ng object na yun. Yun yung ascending. Dito naman sa descending bid auction, guys, is baliktad lang. If kanina, nag-start tayo sa pinakamababang presyo, papunta sa pinakataas na presyo, dito naman is, magsa-start tayo sa pinakataas na presyo. And if sino yung pinakahuli, yung nag-offer ng pinakamaliit na presyo, regarding doon sa object na yun, is siya yung makakuha ng object na yun. Halimbawa, ang start ng price is 3 million. Yun yung 3 million na yun stand as a high bid price. Yun yung pinaka-start. So, magsabi na naman yung other bidders na, okay, 2 million. So, if meron pa talaga mag-offer ng below 2 million, halimbawa, ang last na nag-bid is 500,000 on that specific object. So, dahil siya yung pinakamaliit na nag-offer ng price, ibig sabihin, siya yung makakakuha doon sa object na yun. So, yun guys, ang ibig sabihin yung difference ng ascending bid auctions and descending bid auctions. So, hope naintindihan natin. So, guys, ngayon, let's proceed sa auction can be conducted. So, dito guys, dalawa lang din yung i-memorize natin. Same kanina sa types of auction. Dalawa lang guys. Diba? Para hindi na tayo mahirapan mag-memorize dito. Yung word din dito is napaka-familiar na sa atin. So, alam ko talaga guys na maalala natin ito. So, yung dalawang auction na pwede natin makonduct is we have closed format and open format. O, diba? Ang dali lang i-memorize guys, diba? Open kayo, diba? Closed din kayo. Joke! Kumbaga guys, yung open format is, ibig sabihin lang nito is, ito yung klaseng auction na kung saan all customers know the going price front object. So, ibig sabihin is, kumbaga, yung mga bidders sa loob ng auction is alam ng bawat isa ng mga bidders kung magkano yung price na pwede nilang i-offer regarding doon sa object na yun. Diba? Diba, same kanina sa examples ko. Okay, 5 million, 2 million, diba? 3 million, diba? Alam nyo kasi most of the time, binovocal yung price. So, ibig sabihin, alam ng mga bidders. Samantala naman sa closed format, baliktad naman. O, diba? Ibig sabihin, hindi alam ng mga bidders doon kung magkano yung mga price na i-offer ng mga kapwa bidders nila. So, ang question, saan ba nila nilalagay yung price? At sino lang ba yung nakakaalam doon sa price na yon? So, sa closed format, yung price dito is nilalagay doon sa loob ng envelope at nakasealed ito. At dito, sa closed format is parang pinopromote dito yung privacy sa per bidders. Kasi syempre, hindi alam ng kapwa bidders eh. And ang nakakaalam lang dito ng price na pwede mong ma-offer is only the seller. Kasi syempre, yung envelope na yun is ipikita mo man ito doon sa seller. So, yun lang yun guys. Open format, alam ng mga bidders, kapwa bidders yung mga price. Yung closed format naman is hindi nila alam. But the price is nasa loob ng envelope. So, yun lang guys.
Oral auction. Hello everyone. In an oral or English auction, it is where the bidders submit increasing bids until only one bidder remains. The items is awarded to this last remaining bidder. Since every bidder is willing to bid up to his value, but no higher, the highest bidder or the high value bidder wins the item. By outbidding or as soon as the second highest value bidder drops out. For example of this is, there were 5 bidders which bids $8, $55, $53, $52, and $1 only. The bidder who bids $8 will win at price close to $55, right after the bidder with next highest value drops out of the bidding. Note, in auction, it is the losing bidder who determines the price. The stronger they are, the higher the price. Consider a retail store with a single unique item remaining stock, but with two interested buyers. Let's say we assume that each buyer values the products at either a high value of 70 and a low value of 50, with each value equally likely. As we can see in the table 18.1, there are four possibilities. In setting the fixed price, the store faces the familiar trade-off: price high and sell only if a high-value consumer shows up, which is a 75% chance, or price low and sell to everyone. A high price generates more expected revenue because 70 times 75% would equal to 50 to 50, while then a low price, which is 50 times 100% would equals to 50 only. Suppose instead that the store uses an oral auction among the two buyers. The winning bid listed at the last column of 18.1 is equal to second highest value. If the auctioneer gets lucky, he'll get two high value bidders, and the winning bid will 70. However, the outcomes occurs at the 25% of the time. The other 75% of the time is the second highest value, which is just 50. The expected revenue of the auction is weighted average of these two buyers. 70 times 25% plus 50 times 75% is equals to 55. As we compare the fixed price, which is 70, the auction is in this case gives the seller a higher expected revenue. Now suppose there were three bidders shows up in the auction. As before, they could either high value of 70 and a low value of 50 bidders. The possible outcomes of the auction listed in 18.2. This happens only against if the auctioneers get lucky. Two or more high value bidders will show up, so the winning bid is 70. So the winning bid is 70. But this happens only to 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, we expect at the most one high value bidder. So the winning bidder is 50, which is expected revenue is 70 times 50% plus 50 times 50% is equals to 60. Let's see on the table as we comparing 18.1 and table 18.2, we see that the more bidders raise the expected price because you are more likely to get more strong or high value, more strong bidders. Noting that stronger losing bidders lead to higher winning bids. Another example is in eBay auctions that remains open for 10 days. For 10 days returns 42% higher prices than the 3-day auctions, presumably because 10-day auctions attract a larger number of bidders.
So let's proceed to second price auction. So a victory auction or second price auction is a type of sealed bid auction in which bidders submit their bids without knowing the bids of other participants. So meaning, yung mga bidders, yung ibibid nila na amount is ipapasok nila doon sa envelope na naka-sealed so that no bidders or no bidder knows how much the other auction participants have bid. and the item is awarded to the highest bidder, but the winner pays the second highest bidder. So, meaning, diba, ang mananalo is yung highest bidder. Pero ang babayaran niya is equivalent or a cent higher doon sa second highest bidder. So, to understand this, let's give an example. So, let's say si Mr. A nag-bid siya ng $3, Mr. B, $3.50, Mr. C, $4.75, and Mr. D, $5. So, obviously, ang highest bidder dito is si Mr. D, which is $5. Pero ang babayaran niya is a cent higher doon sa second highest bidder, which is si Mr. C, 4.75. So, meaning dito, ang babayaran ni Mr. D is $4.76. So, second price auctions encourage bidders to bid more aggressively. Yes, ang mga bidders ay mas na-encourage sila na magbid because their bid determines only if they win, not the price they pay. So the optimal strategy in the second price auction is to bid his or her true value. So in other words, no matter how the other bidders are going to behave, the right thing for you to do in the second price auction is to bid the amount that the good or item is actually worth to you. Meaning, yung true value is kung magkano talaga yung item or object para sa'yo. So, let's say, for example, Mario is a bidder. And Mario's valuation in the item is A. And suppose the highest competing bid is B. So, if A is greater than B, then Mario wins the item and earns if he bid his true value. But if A is less than B, so the best Mario can do is to bid below B and earns $0. Mario earns exactly $0 by bidding A, his true value. So overall, Mario to bid A is the best choice for Mario. So parang win or lose lang kung ibibid niya yung true value niya. Then, second price auction is actually strategically equivalent to the English auction. And William Vickery and James Mirrlees shared the 1996 Nobel Prize in Economics for their work inventing the Vickery auction and establishing that there is no difference in outcome between an oral and second price auction. So, kasi dito sa English auction, each bidder is willing to bid up to his or her value. And yung mananalo is yung highest bidder at a price equal to or just above the second highest bidder. Same as with second price auction, ang mananalo is yung highest bidder at a price equal or higher than the second highest bidder.
Now, let us proceed to the first price auction. When it talks about first price auction, or also known as English auction, it means that the bidders pay exactly what they bid, and a model wherein the buyer should pay exactly the price they bid on any given advertising impression. Let's go to the first price auction, work better with header bidding. It means that the SSPS can create a second price auction before running the final auction in a publisher's ad server using header bidding, or also known as price pre-bidding advanced bidding, and holistic yield management. The SSPS who conduct a first-second price auction in the header will have less competitive bids in the final auction, resulting in a very low win rates, so prompting the switch of first price auction. When the header bidding is used, the first price auction give buyers a better chance of winning the impression because instead of the winning bid from a second price auction being pushed to the ad server, so their true bid competes in the final auction.
Let us proceed to the what first price auctions mean for the advisor. It means that the first price auction allows both buyers and sellers to see the actual cost of impression, and the fees taken by the SSP ad exchange will at least be known. So the winning price is exactly what the advisor agreed on, but there is a risk of overpaying for impressions. It means that the working of the first price auctions since economically only when the buyer knows the fair market value of the impressions they are bidding on and understand the mechanic of hard and soft mechanism. Now let us proceed to the last one, which is the first price auction mean for the publisher, and see the example below. So, the explanation of this example is that the hard price floor automatically eliminates all the bids under $4.25. So, the bids between the hard and the soft floor take part in the first price auction unless there are bids above the soft price floor, which will take part in the second price auction instead. So in this solution seems to offer the best of both worlds. The high value bidders can avoid paying surplus as they are charged per the second price. So conversely, in the absence of the high value bidders, the low value bidders, thus maximizing the publisher yield. So when exchanges implement flooring methods to combat the low bid density, the header bidding further raises the floor, and exchanges are even considering abandoning the auction type altogether. Whether the first price auction model will, with time, become game like the second price model remains to be seen.
Hello everyone, I'm going to discuss to you about the bid rigging. So what is bid rigging? Bid rigging is a fraudulent scheme in a procurement auction resulting in non-competitive bids and can be performed by corrupt officials by firms in an orchestrated act of collusion or between officials and firms. This form of collusion is illegal in most countries like USA and also the Philippines. Bid rigging is a particular form of collusive price fixing behavior by which firms coordinate their bids to procurement or a project contracts. It is an illegal practice in which competing parties collude to determine the winner of a bidding process, and it will lead into much higher price than what might have resulted from the free market with a competitive bidding process. What causes bid rigging? So, bid rigging occurs when bidders on a contract conspire together to manipulate the outcome of a bidding process in their favor. So, it will mag-occur talaga dito yung natawag na price fixing. On the other hand, is an agreement between competitors to raise or fix the price they sell their products and service for, just like in the previous slide. So, since most, but not all, contracts open to bidding involve governments, it is the most or it is they who are most often the target of the bid rigging. So bid rigging is one of the most widely prosecuted form of collusion. Common forms of bid rigging. First is cover bidding. Competitors agree upfront on who will win in an auction. So losing bidders tweak their submission to ensure it's less attractive than the winners. So onti lang yung mga ibibid nila para ma-sure nila yung gusto nila kung sino manalo. So, next is the bid suppression. A competitor agrees not to bid or to withdraw a bid, so a specific bidder is most likely to win. Third is the bid rotation. Competitors agree to take turns at a winning bid. Next is the market division. Competitors agreed to divide territory, customers, or products markets among themselves instead of competing. For instance, competitors may agree to take turns being the low bidder or sit out of the bidding round or provide unacceptable bids to cover up a bidding scheme. So is bid rigging a financial crime? Yes, of course. So price fixing, bid rigging, and other forms of collusion are illegal and are subject to criminal prosecution by the Antitrust Division of the United States Department of Justice. In all forms of bid rigging, the most common dito is yung bid rotation. It's because all conspirators submit bids but take turns to be the lowest bidders. So characteristic of bid rigging, or some of the characteristics of bid rigging, is collusion is more likely in small, frequent auction than in big, infrequent in ones. Next is collusion is more likely in oral auctions than in sealed bid auctions kasi mas mahirapan sila dun. Third is collusion is more likely when winning bidders and winning bids are identified. So sure naman nanalo sila sa auction if they will support kung sino yung gusto nilang manalo in an auction.
Common value auction is defined as the value is the same for each bidder, but no one knows what it is for sure. Each bidder has only an estimate of the unknown value. So when we say common value auction, ang main concept lang nito is ang worth ng item that was being put in an auction is the same to every individual, the bidders. The only thing is that nobody knows what exactly that item is worth. So, bale, mag-bid lang ang bidders based sa kanilang estimate if magkano ba talaga ang worth ng item. And the bidder's estimate is based sa information na dinisclose ng auctioneer. So, example dito is an auction for an explored oil field. The amount of oil in the field determines the value of the field and it is the same for all bidders. It's just that dahil unexplored pa siya, so hindi natin alam ang exact worth ng oil field na yon, that is why we considered it as a common value. So common value is considered as bad news, meaning that your estimate has the highest and most optimistic. That is why it may result to exceed the actual value or bidding incorrectly. The winner will lose money on average or known as winner's curse. Commonly kasi in this setting, the person who has the highest estimate is likely to win. But the person who have the highest estimate means that your estimate is higher than the average or in the actual worth of the item, which means that you probably overpaid for it or simply known as winner's curse. Winner's curse. To avoid the winner's curse, you must bid as if everyone else think the value is less than your estimate. So it commonly occurs if the auction is in a common value dahil sa lack or incomplete information ng isang bidder. That's why they tend or they independently estimate the worth of an item and minsan the winning individual overpay for it. So in order to avoid this winner's curse, the bidder should bid as if in the first place, yung estimate niya na ang the most optimistic. And on the other hand, the bidder should bid lower if there are more competitors because it is too crucial ang bad news. If ever na ganito ang setting, like okay lang to imagine that one other bidder is wrong and you're right. Paano if there are 50 other bidders or individuals, 'di ba? It's too complicated. That is why to avoid this winner's curse, you bid less aggressively as the number of bidders increases. And lastly, the winner's curse is especially bad if yung rival bidders mo have better information or have related knowledge about the value than you do. Like the other bidders had already the best estimate, then probably you bid higher than that in order to win, which means you lose an average kasi you overpay the value of the item. Oral auction was commonly used in a common value setting because it gives a higher return of prices or gain more profit. This was resulted from an aggressive bidding. If you're an auctioneer, you can make an aggressive bidding by releasing as much information as you can about the value of the item. Or simply, the auctioneer may manipulate the value of the item by disclosing information even if it is adverse in order to encourage the bidders to bid more aggressively.
So, for example, there are four bidders in the market and their willingness to pay are 1, 2, 3, and $4. So, all the bidders know their own willingness to pay, and they also know that the willingness to pay in the market has equal probability to be between 1 and 4. So, let's say you are the seller in this case. What would be or what will be the expected revenue from this market when you run an auction using the following different formats. So the first format is the English auction. Next is the second price sales bid auction. The third one is Dutch auction, and the last is first price bid auction. For English auction, the optimal bidding strategy for all bidders except the winner would be to bid their own links to pay. So the sequence, as you can imagine in this case, let's say the auction starts at 1 peso. So expected na yung apat na bidders is may iwan. Again, the four bidders their willingness to pay is 1, 2, 3, and $4. So, kung nag-start sila dun sa $1 is kaya pang or afford pa ng apat na bidders. And now the auctioneer starts to raise the price 1.50. Now you have three bidders left. The one with willingness to pay 2, 3, and $4. So the price goes up and up from 2.50 until at the point when the price goes to $3. At that point, only two bidders left. And then once the price goes above 3, let's say in this case, the incremental is 1 cent. So once the price goes to $3.01, and then there's only one bidder left, so the one with a willingness to pay of $4 will pay $3.01 for the product, and that bidder is the winner. In this case, the revenue for the seller is $3.01. Okay, now, what happened to second price sales bid auction? So here, the optimal bid strategy for all bidders is to bid their own willingness to pay. The advantage of second price sale bid auction is it actually protect yung bidder na may malaking willingness to pay. It also means removing the need to make assumption about how the willingness to pay are distributed in the market, because the highest bidder in this case will now get stuck with overbidding. So let's say everybody bids their willingness to pay, that would be 1, 2, 3, and $4, and the winner would be the one with a willingness to pay of $4, and the winner only pays the second highest bid. In this case, it will be the $3. So let's say that the incremental value again is 1 cent. Then the winner would only need to pay $3.01. So as you see, English auction and the second price sales bid auction would actually lead to the same revenue for the seller, and the bidding strategy is the same except for the highest bidder. So now, let's consider the other two auction formats, that the Dutch auction and the first price sales bid auction. So, should the bidder in a Dutch auction or in the first sale bid auction bid their own lines to pay? It's an interesting question, right? So let's think about it. So the bidders know this auction formats. The bidder also know that, for example, in a Dutch auction, if the bidder bids their willingness to pay, the highest willingness to pay, bidder would almost surely overpay because the second highest willingness to pay would be on average $1 away. So what would bidder do in these cases? A rational bidder in a Dutch auction would actually hold a little bit longer rather than bidding their own list to pay. As a result, it actually leads to underbidding in a Dutch auction. Similarly, in the first price sales, bid auction, to avoid overpaying, bidders also tend to bid below their willingness to pay in order to avoid getting stuck with the highest bid and the far away from the second highest bid. And decision process in these two cases is actually fairly complicated, so they can be estimated using probability theory. So the result is that if the bidder are fully rational, the expected revenue for the buyer would be identical in a Dutch, English, first price and a second price bid auction. They would all be $1. That is right above the second highest willingness to pay and for the first price and the Dutch auctions.
That's all. Thank you.